Hello, I'm Helen Wakefield and welcome to Freedom Chat. Today, I've got a special guest, my good friend Claudia. She's going to be sharing with you about how Jesus has freed her from something. I'm here with the lovely Claudia. She's a good friend of mine, and we have known each other through our businesses, as she's a copywriter and I'm a web developer. I have a web agency, so we have worked together several times now, and we've gotten to know each other. So, Claudia, I'd like to welcome you to the Freedom Chat, and tell everyone a bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Helen. So, my name's Claudia. I'm Claudia Bouma, and I've been married now for 22 years to an amazing husband called Chris. We have 4 absolutely gorgeous kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. So, oldest son is 16, then a daughter who's 15, next daughter is 14, and then a 9-year-old boy. And we live in this country town called Cobden, which is near Warrnambool, near the Great Ocean Road in Western Victoria. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, lovely. And 4 children must keep you busy.
Yes, and we homeschool as well. So yes.
Wow.
Busy but fun.
That's amazing. So, how long have you been a Christian for? And can you tell me a bit about the circumstances of how you came to know Jesus?
Sure. I love telling this story because I grew up in a non-Christian family with a father actually who was an atheist. So to see how God works in people's lives. And basically, if I can come to know the Lord, I believe anyone can. So I guess my story starts back in the Netherlands, back in 1995. And back in that day, I was actually going to a business school in the Netherlands where I grew up. And I was doing a degree in marketing and foreign languages. And I was then asked to go to Paris and work with the French Chamber of Commerce because French was one of my main subjects. And so I had to become more fluent in French. So off I went on my own, absolutely scared witless.
Wow.
Living in this metropolis, even though I had done French for many years, oh my goodness, when you get to a country and they start speaking the language to you, it's overwhelming. And the work was, for me, difficult. I had trouble understanding and making myself understood. It was just tough all the way around. And I basically got to a point where I felt so anxious and scared and worried and would wake up every morning crying because I was scared to go to work. I just felt I couldn't do it, that I started crying out to God. God, help me. If you exist, help me.
Yeah.
And then as we went through the months, it was a 6-month period, I remembered that a friend in the Netherlands had given me the address of a Dutch Reformed church in Paris. Now, I would normally not go to a place like that, but I was desperate.
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to be with other Dutch people, and particularly young people, and have some sense of normality and talk to people in my own language. So on a Sunday morning, I went to this church. And the amazing thing is this. So I go to this building, and as I walk through the entrance, this presence comes over me. Like even now,
Wow.
I can experience that it was this peace, this calmness. And as I walked into that building, I knew I had to go back. I couldn't explain why. Looking back, of course, I know it was the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
But that's how my journey started to become more comfortable with Christianity, going to a church, talking to people who call themselves Christians. So I did that for a few months. Really, the message didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
That was all way too early.
Mm-hmm.
So then my time in France came to an end, and I then moved to England because I also had to perfect my English, which is really helpful today. And I ended up at Lancaster University up in the north of England. And the first thing I did was join a youth group, which had a Christian flavour, but it wasn't not like Scripture Union. It was a bit softer.
Mm-hmm.
And the big difference there that made a difference to my life was that I met this girl called Wendy, who was in a wheelchair. She'd had this botched operation that basically left her paralyzed from the waist down, yet she had this faith. She believed in the God of the Bible, and she believed he was a good God, a caring God. And I thought, but how can you believe that? You're paralyzed. It didn't make any sense, because I'm one of these people, I'm always asking why. Why?
Yep.
And my kids do it to me as well. And she told me her story, that she believed in God. She believed in Jesus, that he was good. And so, yeah, my journey continued to start to realize that, oh my goodness, there is a God, and he's good, and he cares about me. Then the next person who made a huge impact on me was a girl called Amy, who invited me to her family's place for Easter holidays. And while I was there, she told me her story of going to Germany on her own. And over there, she had found Jesus. She told me the story of giving her life over to Jesus. Now, this is the sort of language I'd never heard about. I knew about church, and you go to church and you do all the right things and you live a good life. She was talking about giving her life and her heart to Jesus, and that he had changed her life. And it spoke to me, it touched me. So that same evening, on my own, in my bedroom, I knelt down next to the bed and I said, Lord, or God, I've made a mess of my life. I'm sure you can do a better job. Here, have my life.
Yeah.
So it's not your typical, repentance prayer at all. But I tell you, that moment, again, God's presence just came over me.
Wow.
I started crying, and I was changed in that moment.
Wow.
I was a different person, and I still am today. Absolutely amazing.
Wow. I love that story. I love how God brought different people into your life along that journey, and each one took you to the next step in
Yeah.
that journey to Jesus. That's wonderful. And he followed you around the world.
Yes.
Chasing you around the world. Oh,
Absolutely.
that's just so wonderful. I love it. The main focus of this podcast YouTube channel is to share how Jesus has freed you. So as Christians, we become a Christian, but then there's a lot of things that Jesus then comes into our life to do for us, to free us from lies or situations or circumstances. So can you tell me something that Jesus has freed you from?
Sure. So the one thing that is very prevalent in schools in the Netherlands, but probably across the entire West, is the teaching of evolution.
Mm.
And it was only years after I became a Christian that I started to realize that the teaching of evolution had made me, or had left me with, this feeling of worthlessness
Mm.
and purposelessness and emptiness. And also it had sowed seeds of doubt when it came to the Bible.
Yep.
It took me many years to realize that that was actually the case. But when I started to realize it, when I came across Creation Ministries International, I could sort of, point the finger at this particular issue and go, oh my goodness, are you saying that evolution could be a lie? Like, really? Because
Yep.
it's taught to me as fact.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there started another journey of discovering that, oh my goodness, the story of Genesis is actual truth and I can trust it. And evolution is really a lie. So that's the big freedom experience for me.
So how long after you'd become a Christian, did you start to realize that there was this conflict with evolution and the Bible?
20 years. I'd been a Christian for
Wow.
20 years. Yes. I'd never really
Wow.
stopped to think about it.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
And I
Yep.
think because evolution is taught in such a way that in your mind, it's such a hard thing to overcome. It's such a barrier where you are absolutely indoctrinated to believe that evolution is true and it's fact, that you don't even stop to question it until you get confronted with the right materials or people and they present to you a different perspective and you go, really? Could that be true? So yeah, 20 years.
Was there a particular time, a particular conversation or an incident where it caused you to really look into this idea of evolution and how it might not be right?
Yes. So partly, of course, because of homeschooling,
Okay.
because wanting to bring our 4 children up in the teachings and the ways of the Lord. Of course, I had to be convinced myself that all of the Bible was true. And in that journey of looking for good biblical materials, I came across firstly the Ark van. The Ark van came to our area in 2014. And when I heard the teaching from Creation Ministries International, and they presented their information in a way that was it was convincing, it was compelling, but it was also based in actual fact. They were saying, we can actually, I don't want to use the word prove because in a sense you can't either prove creation or evolution, but you can have such evidence that points to creation that you can have absolute confidence that the story in Genesis is truth.
Yes.
And that's what got me started on that particular journey, but it was still a journey.
Tell me a bit more about how it was impacting your faith. So believing evolution and then also working through your faith and reading the Bible. How did that impact your spiritual journey and your faith?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think initially I didn't realize to what extent it had impacted my faith. It wasn't until I started thinking about the possibility of, oh my goodness, evolution could be a lie, that I thought, oh, yeah, but because of evolution, I always walked around with a sense of purposelessness and worthlessness. Particularly before I became a Christian, I would look around the world, I would look around people. In a city like Paris, you're surrounded by thousands of people, particularly when you go on the underground. And I would have this overwhelming sense of loneliness and worthlessness because if I came from an ape, seriously, did I have any value or worth? What was the purpose of my life? Just to exist?
Yes.
And so when finally, for the first time in my mind, I started entertaining the thought of it could be a lie, it highlighted to me the quite high levels of doubt I had had while reading the Bible. Oh my goodness. I've got this, I describe it like having this little monkey on my shoulder, sort of whispering into my ear as I'm reading the Bible, going, oh, you can't really trust it. It's
Wow.
not really true, because evolution, that's how God created, that's what created the world. That's how it came into being.
Yeah.
And so it eroded my faith. Yes.
Wow. Yes. It's interesting that that was a monkey on your shoulder that you imagine that.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me more about what happened after the ARC van. Did you go and investigate? Did this prompt you to investigate things further?
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm one of those people, when I find something and it's good, I latch on, and I'm not going to let go until I
Yeah.
know for myself that this stuff is true. So when I heard about the ARC van, and then I got my hands on one book from Creation Ministries, started reading it, and it just made sense. Like
Right.
I would read it and I'd go in my spirit, like I would know this is true. This is true.
Mm.
And so I got onto their website and I started ordering more books because they also have heaps of school books. So I could
Mm.
finally order scientific books for their kids that were creation based. We got, oh my goodness, books galore. And then on top of that, because I'm one of those people, when I find something amazing, like creation, I was like, oh my goodness, everybody has to know about this.
Mm-hmm.
People
Yep.
in my church need to know about this. So I get in touch with Creation Ministries and go, would you come to our church? Contacted our elders and said, can we have the ARC van? And they said yes. And so I organized for them to come and had a Friday night at church where the ARC van, Rod Walsh came and spoke, and we filled the church. I realized that this is a major issue. We had lots of families with primary school kids and secondary school kids who wanted to hear this message and to hear, in this specific instance, about Noah's flood, because I always thought, Noah's flood, it's a nice story, but come on.
Right.
But
Yeah.
no way. Like, it happened. And you
Mm.
can see it all around you, all over the world, in the
Yeah.
way
Yep.
that the layers were laid down. And oh my goodness, there is so much evidence.
Mm.
And so this was presented at church. And I just kept reading. And of course, we became subscribers to their magazine, as well as a Journal of Creation. And my kids, particularly my oldest son, who's very much into science, he got fully into it. He started reading everything. And that it just grew.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm going to put a disclaimer here that neither Claudia or myself are endorsed by Creation Ministries International, but
No.
I actually love their content too. I've been a subscriber of theirs for a while as well, and I love their content too. And I will put links below the video so that if anyone else wants to check them out, you can do so. Claudia, I think we need to cover the whole idea that there's a perception out there that evolution is science and the creation story isn't.
Mm,
So can you tell us a little bit on your perspective on that?
sure. That's another great question, because that's the one that really baffled me and I struggled with. So what I learned is that you have two types of science. So you have historical science and then you have experimental science. Well, both creation and evolution are historical science. It's
Right.
not real science in the sense that you can't do experiments. You can't repeat
Mm.
experiments. You can't observe them. It's stuff that happened in the past. So both of them, both creation and evolution, belong to what we call historical science. So to put creation in the box of, well, it's not real science, well, guess what? Evolution fits in that very same box.
Yep.
But it's the way they present it, you see. It's very
Right.
deceiving. When it comes to science, and particularly when we look at historical science, here's the thing. This is the thing that really made sense to me. So there is evidence, whether it's, like I said, evidence that we think belonged to Noah's flood, with the layers that have been laid down, the lack of erosion between the layers, whether we look at the incredible design in creation that we see absolutely everywhere, we all have the same evidence. The difference is, how do we interpret the
Mm-hmm.
evidence? Now, I used to interpret it through the lens of evolution. But then when I got hold of the creation materials, I started interpreting that very same evidence through the creation lens. And guess what? It made much more sense.
Right.
And so all these so-called facts about evolution that are out there in the public square, in school books, I'm sorry, but they're not facts, but they are presented as such. And it actually makes me quite angry, because I know there's so many high school kids out there who are taught this stuff.
Yep.
And will believe, like I did, you're worthless.
Yes.
You're useless.
Yes.
You have no purpose. It is horrific.
It really does affect how you view your life then. When, you know, I've always thought that. I've been brought up to believe creation. I was taught creation from the beginning, but I always questioned things growing up, and I'd question parents and things. But what if? How are we sure? You know, and it always came down to I just thought, well, if evolution is true, everything's just an accident. So we just, there's no purpose to that. Like, you know, and what's the point? And where are we going with all of this? So, and I did not like the idea that I was from a monkey, like evolved from a monkey. I thought, surely we are more special than that. We've been, and God created us for a very specific, unique purpose that is different to the animal kingdom. So, yeah, I can see how that would really contribute to a lack of purpose and worthlessness in kids growing up, and then the adults that they become. So how has life been different for you since you've discovered the truth?
Oh my goodness. The doubt. I realized I had so much doubt, particularly in relation to the Bible. And once I had taken care of the evolution issue, I could go to the Bible and read it and go, okay, this is the actual word of God. I can read it as truth. And I no longer had these niggling doubts about, but really, it was like, it took care of it once and for all. Not to say that there are, there's still parts in the Bible that I go, oh, this is a bit difficult. Oh, don't quite understand this. But the doubt is gone. And it's given me a confidence to take the Bible and to read it and to believe it. And my faith has been transformed. I would say I'm almost more so a different person. I feel there's a strength in me that I did not have before.
Wow. So you've been freed from doubts, and you've been your strength, you've got more faith. So what would you say then to people, to Christians who think that the issue of evolution doesn't really matter? Like, it doesn't matter if it's true or not.
Oh, that's a great question, because this question pops up all the time. And how will I answer it? Yes, I get told a lot, it's a secondary issue. We are saved by grace through faith. So what does it matter if I think that God used evolution? Because a lot of Christians will believe that.
Yes.
He used evolution. So that's when we can slip in the long ages. So, we can have a bit of both. We can have God. He's still the creator, but he used evolution. So we can make everybody happy. I don't have to stand out as this weird Christian who really believes in a literal creation and people laugh at you. Here's the problem. Evolution is firmly grounded in atheism. If you are going to go down the road of inserting any evolutionary ideas into your faith to try and fit the narrative of the world into the Bible, you're on very thin ice, because the reason that Charles Darwin wanted to publish his book and wanted his theory to become well known was because he wanted to take God out of people's lives, God out of education, take God out of everything, because it's based on atheism. That's the whole reason evolution exists. So as Christians, if you want to dabble in any aspect of evolution, you are going down a road of a worldview where there is no God. That's the sole purpose it exists. We don't want God. We don't want to be accountable. We want to be our own gods. And so to me, it's so sad to see so many Christians go down the road of trying to fit evolution into the Genesis account. And many are well-meaning Christians and they have a genuine faith. So I do want to be careful here. But at the same time, because my life has been utterly transformed, I would just encourage people, go search it out. Go read the materials and find out for yourself and ask the Lord. Because it's his truth. And if it's his truth and it really is the truth, he will reveal it to you, because he did it to me.
I love that you said your life's been transformed. So even though, yes, we agree this whole issue is not about salvation, it doesn't affect our salvation, but your life as a Christian has been transformed and taken to another level now that you've been freed from this lie of evolution. And so you're so passionate about it now because you want others to be freed in the same way and to have that new level of faith and relationship with God. So
absolutely.
Oh, that is amazing, Claudia. I love that. When you told me that this was what you wanted to share, I was so excited because I love Creation Ministries as well. I love the material because it is scientifically based, the scientific evidence. What would you say then? Give some advice if someone would like to investigate this. How should they go about it?
Well, I think the best piece of advice is first to even allow yourself to start thinking, oh my goodness, maybe, just maybe, evolution is not what it says it is. Because I think it is such a stronghold in people's minds. Even start thinking that way can be revolutionary.
Yes.
Because when I started the journey, initially, when I had that first thought come to me, could it possibly be a lie? I can't tell you how, confusion or what a battle started in my mind. Because I thought, no way, I've believed this for like
ever
more than 30, 40 years. Really? Everyone in the world believes this. Do I really want to go down this road? So you have to give yourself time. And the best thing to do is to start looking for the materials that will support creation, as talked about in Genesis, the literal 7-day creation. So I would definitely encourage people to go to the website of Creation Ministries International. One of their best-selling resources is the Creation Answers book, I think it's called.
Yes.
It's a great start because it's easy to read, but there are many other resources that you can order, and you just start reading and go back to Genesis and read it. The question I often ask others is, okay, or particularly a child, my 9-year-old, when you read Genesis and you forget about everything that's out there in the world, you read it, what is the most logical interpretation? God created the world. In 6 days, he rested on the 7th. Okay, so why do you feel you have to insert these long ages? is that what the text says? Or is that imposed from the outside and you want to put it in because you don't want to sound like one of those weird Christians? You know, you don't want to stand out. Imagine that.
Yeah.
You're made out to be a fool. Really? Because I struggled with that for a long time. But my 9-year-old is like, it's pretty clear, really.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's been part of
no.
my journey.
And I know, like, on one level, it can sound preposterous that God made the world in 6 days. But if we believe that Jesus rose from the dead, that's not preposterous. So got to put it in that context. If he's God, he can do anything. And that includes, 6-day creation.
That's a really good point you make, Helen. The other thing that I really wanted to highlight is that the God I believed in was maybe this big. Because really, he needed evolution to help create the world, you know. But now he is the God who created the heavens and the earth and everything in it and on it and under it. And he's majestic and he's powerful. And now he is God, you know. He's so much bigger. And I feel so much more, in a sense, at peace within my faith, because I have a mighty, all-powerful God who can do anything.
That's awesome. Oh, thank you so much, Claudia. Was there anything else you wanted to share with everyone?
The message I really want to get across is that as Christians, whether you believe in creation or evolution, it is not a salvation issue. And I also don't want to come across as if I'm above other Christians, because like I'm superior. I just have experienced, I believe, the power of God through this amazing discovery, and my desire is for other Christians to experience that same power of finding the truth and how it really sets you free. It has set me free.
Yeah. And we also don't want to, in fellowship, we can, as Christians, we can all still worship together and get along, even if, you know, some believe in literal creation and others don't. So it's not something we want to divide people on. But as you said, it's just because of how much it's transformed your life and made such a big positive impact. You're sharing it there so that others can experience that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Claudia, would you like to tell everyone as well a little bit about your business and what you do?
Sure. Yeah. So I run a small business as a copywriter or a content writer. So I work a lot with small business owners who need some powerful words for their websites and who also want it optimized for the search engines.
Yes.
So I'm also trained in how to optimize for Google so that your business can be found.
Yep.
And I also work with some bigger brands, actually. But yes, I just love using the gift that God has given me in using words to write words for businesses that really make their messages come across, like compelling copy, conversion copy, sales copy. That's the sort of stuff I write.
Yep.
Yes.
And she's really good at it.
Thanks. And I love it.
Yes, Claudia is wonderful to work with. So yes, if you are needing a copywriter, then Claudia is your lady. So all right. Thank you so much, Claudia, for joining us and sharing your story with us today. I hope you've enjoyed today's chat with Claudia. If you love these chats, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you get notifications, and like it and share it. If you know others that could benefit from Claudia's story as well, then please share it around. And we'll catch you next time.